Hey guys, and welcome back to Brexit. Brexit England, Northern Ireland, and Eastern Europe. And in Brexit England, our new cowardly British Asian Prime Minister. It seems he has lost his first minister. His minister without portfolio has had to, well, either he might. It looks like he could have asked him to resign, right? Or Gavin Williamson has taken it upon himself to say, you know what, I'm out of here because there's too much allegations coming out about me, about my bullying and how the way how I treat people. But the thing is, I mean, Gavin Williamson is setting all types of records. I mean, that man has set records because he has been sacked from the cabinet twice, and not this time he's right. So he's left the cabinet in like in circumstances, right, that are not favourable, right, on 3 occasions. I mean, that has got to be a record, right? I mean, we've seen real records. I mean, we've seen Liz Truss, right, 44 days as Prime Minister, right? And, we've seen Gavin Williamson, right? I mean, 2 weeks. I'm sure that's got to be a record as well. Especially like for a new prime minister to come in and lose a minister after 2 weeks. I'm sure that's got to be some type of record as well, because I don't think that's happened. And, remember Gavin Williamson was even sacked by Boris Johnson. You know what it takes for you to be sacked by Boris Johnson, right? Remember he got sacked by Theresa May for leaking, I think something about Huawei, right? When he was at the Ministry of Defence. Yeah, and then obviously he was at the education department where he got sacked by Boris Johnson, right? But I mean, some of the stories that's coming out. But what really gets me about this whole thing, right, is that the people in this country like politicians like that. They like politicians that are bullying, that lie, that are nasty people. The people in this country and America, they revel off of that. They really love politicians who are really horrible people. I don't know why, but for some reason that's what a lot of people in this country like to vote for, right? But so it surprises me, yeah, that I suppose it must be I don't know, because some people can get away with this type of thing. Some people just be like, well, obviously, Boris Johnson, yeah, he'll get away with this type of thing. But if you notice now, right, what's happening with Rishi Sunak, yeah, is everything seems to be double or triple that it would have been for any other politician. Because I mean, he's really getting it over losing Gavin Williamson this quick. I mean, Gavin Williamson, he wasn't even given a ministry that he could fuck up this time, right? He didn't have a portfolio, right? So, but if you look at the way how Rishi Sunak is getting it over this, right? I know that, and obviously there's like the whole Suella Braverman thing as well, which she's holding on, and holding on, and she should have really resigned. But I mean, if she was to go, he was to sack her now. I mean, that would probably be curtains for him, because remember he did say that his cabinet was going to be full of integrity, professionalism, and accountability. And I said, well, how has that gone for you? But you see, this is what happens, isn't it? When you have politicians, right, that are in no way at all, right, can do the jobs what they've been put in to do. There's just absolutely, you're talking about, you're talking about people who have been over promoted above their status. All of them, every last one of them, right? None. When I look at all these people, I just think to myself, well, this is, it's just completely ridiculous. Here and in America. I look at these politicians that people are voting for, and I think, well, I can't get it. A lot of times, I can't get my head around it. What these people are actually doing, with people like, I mean, even voting in someone like Gavin Williamson. But a lot of these people, they're in such safe seats that whoever you put up there for a Tory, people are going to vote for. And so much of them, right, have proved themselves to be. I mean, Rishi Sunak has just, he has just like he's brought back basically all the same people. Then he just, just moved them around a bit different. Right, so it's, it's all the same people, and it's just a bunch of absolute talentless freaks, right? Who, I'm telling you, these guys would have a real problem running a small corner store, because none of them, not one of them, none of them, right, have any clue what they're doing. None of them at all. And that's why this country is in such a state. This country is in such a state because of that. Because people have been consistently voting for politicians, right, who don't know what they're doing, and they're voting for them because these politicians are just lying to them all the time. They're constantly telling them lies. I mean, if you look at this country now with Brexit, right? The whole country, so much people in this country think, such an important vote what they took, right? And they think that, oh well, we could just probably go back in. No. Shit doesn't work like that at all. Do you know what I mean? Britain is not the country that you people really thought it was, and now they're really finding out, and they're finding out for themselves. And the thing is with me, I say it serves these motherfuckers right, because all this time they've been voting against their own interest, right? They're doing it because they don't like the colour of people's skin, or they don't like Jewish people, or they don't like, or they don't like people that speak in a funny language. They don't like black people. They don't like Asian people, right? And now look where this country is. You've got people can't afford to heat their own homes, can't afford to eat. People are going out to steal. The need for food banks, right, is outstripping. Right, what we've actually got, the demand that we've actually got is outstripping, and we've got Tory councillors thinking it's okay, right, to be cutting ribbons, right, and laughing while eating cake or drinking bottle or drinking wine while opening a new food bank. This is Brexit Britain. And welcome back to By Any Means Necessary. Thank you so much for all your messages sent me, and a special thanks to everybody who signs up to my channel. I feel so blessed with so much people that signed up, so thank you so much for that. I'll go through all your messages, I'll answer as many as I can, but I will like all your messages for definite. And it seems that Elon Musk is using his freedom of speech, on Twitter to tell everybody to vote for the Republicans. And obviously the midterms was yesterday. So and I think the Republicans have taken I think they've taken Congress, because they're up to 220 seats in Congress, and you needed 218. So at the moment they've got it by 2, but I think there's another 5 seats or so to be declared. But obviously, as I said, they're over the mark. But they was expecting like maybe 20, 30, or maybe even 40 seats to be taken off of the Democrats. So the Democrats have done a lot better than they was expected to do. But I just look and I think to myself, well, this is just, when you look at some of these Republican candidates, these people, they're unhinged. Right, when when these people are still talking about the election that was stolen, and you say, well, because just a logical think, just a wobble of your head for maybe 2 seconds, just to wobble your head for 2 seconds, right? And you think, well, so you mean there's thousands of people in this country, right? That because you've got to be talking about Republicans and Democrats. So you've got thousands of Republicans helping Democrats to steal elections. Because just think about it logically, right? When they're doing the count and all that, right? They've got Republicans and they've got Democrats there, right, doing the counts and people watching. So if the ballots are being stuffed with loads of different ballots, right, and you've got Republicans standing there and they say, well, hold on a minute, what are all those then? Wouldn't they be saying that? Surely they'd be saying, well, hold on, what? But none of them, not one of them, not one Republican, right, who has anything to do with any of the counts or anything like that, has come forward and said, yeah, listen, I saw the Democrats cheating, or I saw other Republicans like stuffing ballots in for the Democrats. Does that make any sense, right? That you've got thousands of Republicans that will be helping Democrats to steal the election from Republicans to give it to Democrats. I mean, does that really make any sense to you? Any sense at all? Right? But you've got people standing. You've got people standing on this. You know what Donald Trump has done to that country. Donald Trump has just destroyed. He has completely destroyed America. Just absolutely, just absolutely, And well, I do know one thing though. Yeah, I would never ever buy a Tesla. I don't even want to go in a Tesla, right? With Elon Musk, I don't even want to go in a Tesla, right? Because this man is he's proven himself to be one jackass. He's proven himself to be an absolute idiot. And a lot of the stars have changed their blue tick, right? Sorry, they've changed their name, right? With where they've got their verified accounts to Elon Musk, and he suspended loads of them because he said, well, obviously they must be taking the piss, so he suspended loads of them. Trump has hinted that he might run for presidency again, and for me, I don't think he should be anywhere near. They shouldn't even be letting him anywhere near running for presidency because the man's an absolute nightmare, right? Look what he has done, right? He's prepared to tear the country to pieces, right? And just talk, the integrity of your election, right? For him to deal with it in that way, right? And just when there's nothing in it at all, right? There's no people going and stuffing ballot boxes, and you haven't got thousands of dead people voting. It's just all absolute nonsense, And when they've checked in all of these things, they've found these things in like ones or twos. So nothing that could change an election. And as I said, besides, right, you've got watchers, right, from both sides, right. I'm not even going to say there's good people on both sides because when it comes to the Republicans, I can't say that because there's not good people on both sides. If you've got Democrats and Republicans, I say there's good people on one side because the Republicans, right, when you're talking about people who are prepared to rip down their own system, right, because you know what, I suppose they just want to win, so they're prepared to just tear everything down, everything the country is built on. They're prepared to just tear it down because they didn't win. It's a horrible situation to be in. I don't know if you've seen this story. A mayor in Oregon, a town called Rufus, right, has this guy, right, he's a mayor, right, and he must have had some road rage incident with some people, right, and next thing he stopped on the side of the road, pulled out a gun, and they started shooting after him as they was driving, right, and they've got a baby. I think they've got 2 kids in the car, 2 adults and 2 kids in the car, and I think he's hit the car, but I don't think he's injured it. I don't think he's hit any of them, luckily, right? But the police have locked his ass up for attempted murder, and it serves his right because this man is an elected official. And you say you're really that much of a hothead that you're going to start, right? And you're going to start firing your gun after a family in a. You deserve to be in prison, Mr. Mayor. A man has been arrested. We're back in Britain now. A man has been arrested. I believe this was this morning, right, for throwing eggs at King Charles and Camilla, the Queen Consort, right. I say, well, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Because you've got to get arrested for that, I suppose, isn't it? I mean, they're not going to say, well, you missed, so you can go. I mean, you've got to get arrested, and there's a good chance that he might end up in custody for that actually, because it's not like throwing an egg at a politician. Right, trying, doing something like that to King Charles. It's nothing like that at all. Do you know what I mean? People don't, on a general basis, people don't really so much try and commit offences like that against like members of the royal family because they're going to probably view it a bit more serious. Yeah, so as I said, he more than like I would say that he's probably going to go to court from custody tomorrow morning. Right, just for pitching an egg, right? At the king and the queen consort. Yeah. And now we've had journalists getting arrested at Just Stop Oil protests now. I think Charlotte Lynch from LBC, she was arrested for 5 or 6 hours, right? Because I think the police arrested her because they thought they thought, well, you had information that these people was going to be at this gantry or whatever. Do you know what I mean? You could have given us that information. Well, it's not really journalists. Down to journalists to give the police information like that. You know, the journalists knew that someone was going to get murdered. And someone said, "Well, listen, if you follow me, I'm a journalist. If you sorry, I'm like a protester. If you follow me, I'm going to go and murder somebody." Right? Then I think the journalists would be well within their rights to phone the police and say, "Well, I'm just following a protester who said they're going to go and murder somebody. Can you send someone down to help?" Right? But she was. She's got a press card, right? But I've heard a couple police officers come on the radio this morning and say, "Well, I never even heard of a press card." I'm like, well, I'll tell you this, right? The average person in this country is quite thick. And I'll tell you why I say that, right? Because I was watching some preacher he's from America, right? But it was over here. And he was speaking to some people in Stratford, right? And, just obviously it must have been like the day, Richie Sunak must have been a couple of days. So it was, and I was asking him, what do you think of the new Prime Minister? And the amount of people he spoke to that didn't know who the new Prime Minister was. Do you know what I mean? I was like, I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed for the people of this country, right? For you to be stopped on the street, right, and you don't know who the Prime Minister is. Do you know something, right? I'll be honest with you. I envy those people because I would love, right, not to have my head filled with politics. That would be a dream, absolute dream, right? I can remember. Was it Prince Nassim? One of the boxers. One of the boxers, Prince Nassim or. What's the name? One of them. Anyway, Khan. Prince Nassim. It was Khan. I think it was Khan. I think it was Amir Khan. Right. I saw he was on one of them reality programs. Right. And they said to him, it must have been I'm a Celebrity, I think, isn't it? And they said to him, and he didn't know who the Prime Minister was at the time. And I just thought, wow, that's just brilliant, to just be that far out. But then when I hear all these people, do you know what I mean, like just regular people off the street in Stratford, and like none of them can name who the Prime Minister is, I'm like, these people are dead, they're idiots, they're stupid. These people are thick. How the hell you don't know who the... But anyway. Right, so they're arresting a lot of, because this Just Stop Oil. It's a massive thing, do you know what I mean? Where, the police was out, right, the night before, right, arresting people, right? But obviously, Just Stop Oil they must have, obviously they've got a lot of people, but the police was out there arresting people to make sure that they didn't go out the next day. But, they're out again today. They've blocked up about 3 or 4, maybe even 5 different, like, junctions on the M25. When I was at this morning, do you know what I mean? Yeah, there was a part of the M25, there was nothing on there. When I was driving on the other side, there was nothing on there at all, right? And normally it's packed, right? But and then there's a lot of people saying, well, why don't they go and protest down the House of Parliament? And let me tell you this, right? You go and protest down the House of Parliament, right? There's a lot of police down there with guns. Right. If you was to come to this country, right, and go straight round Westminster, right, round by the House of Parliament, you would think that every single policeman in this country is armed. You'd think every single, because when you're around there, right, it's spot the unarmed police officer. That's how it works around there. It's spot the unarmed police officer, right? There are so many armed police around there. It's just unbelievable, right? So yes, as I said, so now obviously they started to arrest journalists because remember the Conservatives has put new powers through so that they can do different things to protesters and all those type of things. Even though the police have got all these powers already, the police have all these powers from way back when. But all the time the government saying, "Oh, we're giving the police new powers to do this." Shut up, right? And then, I don't know if you saw the Just Stop Oil protester Louise, because she was on one of the gantries, and she's like 24 years old, up there crying, right, saying, obviously that she's 24 years old. But you see, what I've been trying to explain to everybody about this, right? She's 24 years old. Cop is 27 years old. Her whole life has been about climate change. Everything. Her whole life's been about climate change. Mine hasn't. What did we start? We started 20 years ago, the ozone layer or whatever it was. Remember? That's where we started. Remember Prince Charles? Prince Charles, they say motherfucker was crazy because he speaks to plants. Right? Prince Charles been an eco warrior from since like sometime I think the late 70s. Right? So it's not like this country hasn't known. People have known from way back when. So you can't blame this young woman at 24 years old and say, well, you go and get a bloody job. No, her whole life has been about this particular thing. Her whole life has been about climate change. Right? They've been talking about it in COP for 27 years. 27 years of COP. It's 3 years older than her. Right, and in her lifetime, she's looking and saying, "Well, you haven't really done anything. What have you really done? Because we're still, you're just talking about, giving new licenses now for more fossil fuel drilling." Right, all these youngsters are watching this. Their whole life, remember, right? As I said, their whole life has been one of climate change. Everything. Their schooling from when they've been in infant school, they would have known about this. Right, and then we're going to get upset because she's taking action. No, you can't get upset with her. You can't get upset with her. Try getting upset, right, with the people, right, who think it's okay to start handing out licenses, for fossil fuels when you could invest a lot more money in green energies. But you see, got to understand, that the people from the fossil fuels industry, those people just dole out a lot of money, right? In the same way, why do you think that people like Qatar, right, have the World Cup? Right, even though they hate the gays, right? One of them said, he said, being gay is haram. I hope you know what that means, right? Because it's not a good thing, right? He said that gay people have a damaged mind. Like, wow. Coming to the 20th century, my brother. I mean, right? But that's what But the Qataris, it was all money under the table, right? I heard one. When because it was 2010, when I think they won it, or 2012, 2010 or 2012 they won it. But when the Qatari guy turned up there, he turned up there with millions of pounds in a bag. And I guarantee you, that each of the delegates, right, must have just walked away with probably a cool meal each. Right, because obviously the Qataris, right, when they're talking about millions of pounds, they're talking about 30, 40 mil in a bag. It's serious, So when you're looking at like the Just Stop Oil people, when you're talking about people that are her age, it's society that has created them. Do you know what I mean? And like you got people like Rishi Sunak saying, well, you know what, he wasn't going to COP, then he's gone. His speech was just completely rubbish. And Boris Johnson just went and stole the limelight. And to say Boris Johnson's he's the leader of this country, right? I see Boris Johnson there doing right, and then right. Let me tell you, right, when you hear them start breaking out things like reparation, right, then you know already, right, that the right wing are on this. They're savage at it because something. These people don't want to hear about reparations. Never want to hear about reparations. I can remember this must have been about 25 years ago, right? I can remember I was listening to the radio or whatever, right, and a guy come on and they was talking about slavery and he went like, well, I don't think these people deserve reparations. And I thought, wow, you really do feel really strong about it. I didn't realise that how strong these people actually felt about it. Do you know what I mean? But when you start mentioning things like reparations, that's when you know that there's a fight coming over climate change. There's a massive, massive fight coming because they're saying, you know what? Oh, we need to give reparations to all these countries that we've helped pollute the hell out of. Right? And say, well, and you hear people saying, well, what about China? How come people don't go and, demonstrate over the China? So, well, something, right? We've got, 70 million people in there. They've got over 1 billion fucking people in there. Right? Of course, their emissions are going to be a lot higher than ours. Of course they are. And plus, they make all the shit for us as well. Right? But the green industry, it should have really taken over, much more of this. But as I said, the fossil fuel industry, they're much like the tobacco industry or the NRA. Those people, they just pay politicians off. That's all they do, just pay them off. and say, was Winston Churchill a racist? Look at this video already, 24 minutes in already. Was Winston Churchill a racist? Yes. He was a horrible racist. He was a disgusting racist. Right? Man killed more people than Adolf Hitler. But you see, the difference was they was black and brown people. And you say, well, there was Winston. Of course, he was a racist. Winston Churchill blatantly said, yeah, it's okay for white people to go and replace black and Asian people and to replace the bloody Aborigines. He said that. He said that. That's fine if they go and if white people go and murder these people, right, and take their land. He said it's fine. So of course they're a fucking racist, right? I mean, there's not even no real discussion there. Of course he was, right? Because anyone who could think like that, I mean, look at these people now, right? They think, oh, look at these Jews and these fucking blacks and these Asians trying to replace us. Just like, it's when Hitler wanted to replace the fucking Brits, right? Wanted to come with the Battle of Britain. Right? Britain fought back and said no. But Winston Churchill thought it was okay for Britain to go and take other people's land. It's okay for us to do it. Yeah, it's okay for us to do it because we're white. That's what going through his mind. It's okay for us to do it. We're white. So it's okay for us to go, right, commit genocide and commit apartheid on other people of colour because they're lesser people than us. That's what he said. So was he a racist? Yes. Schools are running out of cash. And it looks like, right, that schools are going to be, they're going to be having to stop things like, school trips. Getting rid of supply teachers and teachers, shorter days, obviously turning on the power a lot less because so much schools are going bankrupt, right? They're starting to charge parents 20p for a pencil for a pupil who hasn't got a pencil. 20p. Craziness, man. Seriously, absolutely craziness. And look, grocery inflation has hit nearly 15% on grocery inflation, and it's still going up. Because you know why? Because these people have no clue how to run a country. And let's speak about some Brexit. Because Britain is begging the EU to take us back into Horizon. Begging. Because you know why? Because we have all of the power, if you remember. Us. We got all the power. Right? And these people have to do exactly what we say, right? No, they haven't. Because you know why? Because we've got no power at all. Nothing at all. All we are is a small racist island off the coast of Europe. That's it. Right? And we've got no power to dictate to the EU anything. In fact, right, if the EU says to us, jump, we have to say to them, how high, sir? That's it. Right, because the people, the Brexiters have put this country in a position, right, where this country is basically the EU's whipping boy for the EU to tell us to do exactly what they want when they want us to do it. The Express has said that Mark Carney is spreading absolute tosh when he says that Brexit is to blame for the collapse of the EU economy. I have a feeling that the Express is reaching for shit. For a big bag of poop. That's what the Express is reaching for. The damn fools. The Independent. Mark Carney has doubled down on claims that Brexit has had a troll on the UK's economy. That was Mark Carney's doubled down. He went to a different paper. He went to the Independent to say this. No, I'm doubling down. Brexit is to blame for the collapse of the UK economy. Of course it is. Aluminium. The UK's aluminium industry, right, is in real problems because obviously they've got to dump a load, but there's tariffs and all that, right? So our companies, right, have to adhere to and obviously remember that you got the Chinese, yeah, who will dump a load of aluminium, and all these guys are waiting for is to drop the price so low that that the British companies are just completely blown out, and then they can just come and just take over that business. But that is Brexit Britain. So our aluminium companies, right, are really feeling it, and the aluminium industry, right, looks like it could crash in this country, and then we could have all of the aluminium, like the Chinese and the European aluminium companies, just coming in to wipe up all that Brexit business. A post-Brexit deal with Brazil is looking very unlikely, because you see the importance that the people put on this country, as if to say, you know, that Britain is a major important country out there, and we can just be overlooked. The major thing that Britain had here was being attached to the EU because of the English language. So any companies that wanted to have a foothold in the EU could quite easily come here, because English is the second language in most other countries. So you've got a lot of people who can speak our language, so they can bring their businesses over here. And remember, we did have quite a strong pound, so that was that was also good. And you know, people liked, you know, the system, how the system works over here. You know, our police don't carry guns. People like that type of thing, right? So you know, so that's why. Right, that's why I tell you, Britain is now just a little racist island off the coast of Europe. That's it. And one more. More than 600,000 Irish passports has been applied for. And you know something? I can guarantee you that every single one of them MP bitches who could apply for an Irish passport have got one. Because you know, what they've done is they've taken away your freedom of movement while they're maintaining their own freedom of movement. They want freedom of movement for themselves. Right, but they just wanted to get rid of our freedom of movement. In the same way, they want to make sure that, you know something, you can't go out and protest because, you know, you've got to pay for your fucking house, you've got to pay your mortgage, or you've got to pay your rent. Right, that shit's really high. So you can't go out and protest. How are you going to go out and protest? You can't go out and protest. Anyway, guys, look, I'm 12 minutes over on this video, and I really didn't want to do it today, but then I didn't do a video yesterday, so, you know, I say that, I should say this one's doubled up. Anyway, guys, look, I'm going to bow out of here. This, my friends, is By Any Means Necessary. I'm the MC John Ribbs. It was really nice to speak to you guys. Comments below.